everybody. Thank y'all for being here with me tonight. I'm Dedrick West. Tonight I want to discuss with y'all capital punishment as it relates to the death penalty here in the United States of America. Tonight I want to discuss with y'all my personal experience with that row, whether it's morally right or morally wrong. We'll leave that up for debate, and y'all can come up with y'all own decision after hearing what I have to share with y'all tonight. We're going to consider the human element in death penalty cases as well as death penalty sentencing phases. We're going to also discuss an alternative to death penalty being a consequence of capital punishment. First, I want to discuss with y'all my personal experience with the death penalty. I was 5 years old when my father was arrested for capital murder. I watched my father be paraded across the news screen, being portrayed as this horrible murderer. And it took an effect on me. It took an effect on me into a point where I started believing that my father was this horrible murderer, even though he told me different, okay? My dad spent 18 years on death row. During those 18 years, he was given 7 different execution dates. Now picture, if you will, a kid growing up, and on 7 different occasions, your mother, your family members come telling you, well, it's November the 11th and November the 30th, your father's going to die. This not only happened once, this happened 7 different times. So I just want y'all to think about the psychological effects that this kind of information can cause on a young child, right? 18 years later, some new evidence arose. It was found out that the district attorney had withheld some evidence that would help my father's case. Being that evidence arose, he was granted a new trial, and after the same testimony, the same evidence, only new evidence being the evidence that was held, my father was found not guilty and exonerated after only 20 minutes of deliberation. Now we're going to discuss whether the death penalty is morally right or is it morally wrong. Okay? As of today, according to the deathpenaltyinfo.org, 31 states in the United States still practice the death penalty. Since 1976, 1,400 people has been executed. 652 alone has come from the state of Texas and the state of Oklahoma. That's almost half of the executed population. 160 of these individuals since 1976 have been exonerated, given a new trial, and found not guilty for a crime that they were recently convicted of. According to deathpenaltyinfo.org, 11 of those cases has recently come up in the media to where new evidence has arose. And 11 of these people who have been executed, new evidence have found that they may have been completely innocent. But our court system, our criminal justice system, don't revisit the cases of those that are deceased. Now, we're talking about, is it morally right or wrong? For this moment, I'm going to discuss premeditated murder, which is one of the main reasons people are sentenced with the death penalty here in the United States. Premeditated murder is described as giving thought before a crime is committed. The theory, theoretically speaking, if me and you had a fight, or we are engaged in some type of altercation, and I take your life, our criminal justice system consider that as manslaughter or maybe second-degree murder. If me and you get into an altercation, I leave and come back, that is considered premeditated murder. Now, bear with me for a second. Our criminal justice system sentenced me to the death penalty because I premeditated to come take the life. But when we are in a trial and we find somebody guilty of murder and we sentence them to the death penalty only to kill them years later, correct me if I'm wrong, that's premeditation in itself. So if we are punishing people and sentencing people to death for premeditating a murder, what gives our criminal justice system and us as a whole the authority to commit premeditated murder? Seems like an eye for an eye for me, but I'll let y'all come up with y'all own theories on that. Now let's consider the human element. We all know as humans, we make millions of decisions a day. One wrong decision can do away all the right decisions we made, if not all, majority of them, right? And we all know that we make mistakes daily. And sometimes our mistakes is very drastic. And we have to consider the human element of mistake making before we are okay to sentence somebody to death, because humans can make mistakes. Just to give an example, majority of the population feel like mistakes were made in the O.J. Simpson trial, in the Casey Anthony trial. I can go on and on. Everybody know a case where they felt the criminal justice system did not serve justice or simply made a mistake. Also, under the case of considering the human element, we have falsified testimony. People are being paid to give their testimony for leniency in their sentences, for Crime Stoppers paying them for money, paying them money to stand on trial and give these testimonies when they are faulty. And we have to understand the human element in these trials. Misconduct in the courtroom. The reason my dad was exonerated from death row was, the way the story goes, one of the prosecuting attorneys who was on his trial withheld DNA evidence that proved that my father wasn't the one who committed the crime. But being that the district attorney needed to get a conviction for his trial, he withheld the evidence and destroyed it, later on convicting my father of a murder that he didn't commit. Not only do we have to consider the human element, for the record, officers of the court get complete immunity for their misconduct in the courtroom. Now we can say people deserve to die for their wrongdoing, but yet we cannot say this district attorney is guilty of attempted murder. It will never be heard in any courtroom in the United States. So again, with the considering of the human element, under what authority are we given the power to take somebody else's life? I pause because I wanted y'all to let that marinate and see what answer y'all come up with. Under what authority do I have the power to say somebody deserves to die? Ask yourself, under what authority do you have the power to say somebody deserves to die? Now let's move on to some alternative to that being part of the sentencing phase when it comes to capital punishment. We consider the federal government as the highest government in the land. Since 1976, the federal government has only executed 3 people, being that state has executed 1,400. Big discrepancy right there. Some alternatives for me would be life in prison. And I know what y'all might be saying. Trust me, I know what y'all be saying. But they're taking up all the taxpayer money. We don't want to take care of them for the rest of their life. I know what y'all might be saying. But one alternative to that is, if we stop mass incarceration for non-violent offenses, then we will have the money to house these criminals who've been convicted for life sentences. We will have the run and we will have the money. But first, we must stop the mass incarceration for non-violent offenses. And not only that, we as a society can get a lifetime of free labor out of these guys. Lifetime of free labor. For those who don't want to work, you don't work, you don't eat. I've experienced it. I've visited Louisiana State Prison majority of my life. And up there at Louisiana State Prison, what they consider the farm, they grow their own produce. They manage their own cattle. Everything they grow, they eat. All the farming, that's why they call it the farm. All the farming that's done is used by the inmates there. And that's where we house our death row inmates, right there at Louisiana State Penitentiary. So there are other options. And I just want y'all to consider sentencing somebody to death when us as a society is against killing. It's a form of hypocrisy. We cannot be mad when people kill and we turn around and give other people the authority to kill. And who gives us the authority to give somebody else the authority to kill? So I want y'all to take that into consideration. Thank y'all for listening. And remember, an eye for an eye is not justice. 2 wrongs don't make it right. In no law and in no world. Thank y'all for letting me share with y'all today.